I solve Iman Gadzhi's scale problem. Iman Gadzhi has the same problem every course creator has when they try to scale past 1,000 students. Students leave, not because the content is bad, not because they didn't learn anything. They leave because their entire business model is structurally designed to create this exact outcome. And here's what nobody wants to admit. This isn't a marketing problem. It's not a retention problem. It's not a content problem. It's something nobody's talking about because they don't have the language about it yet. By the end of this video, you'll see why course businesses feel like running on a treadmill that speeds up every month, why your students ghost after week 2, and why every solution you try makes the problem worse. This isn't about Iman specifically. He's just the most visible example of a pattern that's affecting every course creator trying to scale, including you if you're building one. Let me show you what's actually happening. Right now, course creators think that the problem looks like my students aren't finishing the course. I need better onboarding. Maybe I need to build a stronger community. I should add more accountability. So what do? They add weekly calls. They build Slack groups. They build accountability pods. They gamify their progress tracking. They send more reminder emails. And the completion rates stay exactly the same, 15%. Maybe 20 if you're really good, or they get worse because you're not solving the problem. You're treating symptoms while the underlying structure keeps producing the same outcome. Here's what's actually really happening. When someone buys your course, they're building a future version of themselves. They see the gap between where they are and where they want to be. And your course promises to bridge that gap. But the person who buys your course is not the same person who has to do the work. The buyer is optimistic, motivated, high energy. They genuinely believe they'll show up and do the work. The person who has to actually sit down and go through the module 3 on a random Wednesday 3 weeks later, completely different incentive structure. The buyer borrowed energy from their future self, and now their future self has to pay the bill. But here's the thing, you already took the payment. The discomfort of not having the course is gone. The urgency is gone. Now the only thing motivating them to do the work is what? Willpower? Discipline? The same mechanics that were already failing them before they bought, you remove the forcing function the moment they paid. And it's not just the students who are borrowing from the future. Every single student you require is a future burden, a future community management burden, a future why isn't this working for me question that someone has to answer. At 100 students, you can personally respond to everyone. At 1,000 students, you need moderators. At 10,000 students, you need a full support team. And the quality of interaction has degraded so much that the community becomes noise instead of signal. But you already took their money. You already made them promises. Now you're stuck managing the consequences of decisions you made 6 months ago when you were trying to hit revenue goals. And the content itself, that's borrowing from the future too. You recorded that module 6 months ago. It made sense then, but your thinking evolved. You discovered a better way to explain it. The market shifted. The examples are dated. Every piece of evergreen content is slowly becoming debt. And the bigger your course library gets, the more debt you're carrying. Want to update it? That's time you're not spending acquiring new students or building new offers. Don't update it? Your best students notice. They leave reviews. They tell their friends. Your reputation starts to degrade. You're trapped in a machine that requires constant forward motion just to maintain the same position. Now, watch what happens when course creators try to fix this. They add more content, more modules, more bonus training, more resources. Students feel more overwhelmed. Decision fatigue increases. They don't know where to start. Completion rates drop. They add more community features. Now you're managing social dynamics, drama between members, off-topic conversations, moderation burden. The signal to noise ratio collapses. They add more accountability structures, mandatory check-ins, progress checking, public commitments. But here's the thing of what you're actually doing. You're trying to artificially recreate the forcing function that students pay to escape. They don't want artificial pressure. They wanted the transformation without the discomfort. That's why they bought a course instead of hiring a coach. So they resist, they resent it, they leave. They add personalization. What if we could customize the learning path based on where each student is? Doesn't scale. The moment you try to automate personalization, students can smell the automation. Trust drops. And if you try to do it manually, you're back for trading time for money, which is what you're trying to do to escape while building a course in the first place. Every solution adds operational complexity while operating from your future capacity. This is why course creators feel like they're drowning even as revenue grows. You're not building a business. You're building an increasingly complex machine that requires more energy input to produce the same output. And here's the part nobody wants to hear. The students who succeed in their course, you're not succeeding because of your course structure, they're succeeding despite it. The ones who finish are the ones who already had the characteristics that predicted success. They would have figured it out anyway. Your course just gave them a structured path. The students who need your course the most, the ones who bought in a moment of optimism, hoping it would go ahead and change them, those are the ones who leave. And you can't fix that with better email sequences. Let me show you what's actually happening structurally. Traditional education has a forcing function built in it. If you don't show up, you fail. If you fail, you don't get the credential. If you don't get the credential, you don't get a job. It's painful, it's coercive, but it works as an enforcement mechanism. Online courses remove the forcing function without replacing it with anything. You pay upfront. Access is immediate. There's no credential that actually matters in the market. There's no external consequence for not finishing. The only person you're letting down is yourself. And people are really, really good at letting themselves down when the pain is in the future and the comfort is available right now. So course creators try to add the forcing function in artificially. Join our accountability group. Post your progress in the community. Attend our weekly implementation calls. But students can sense that it's optional. There's no real consequence. It's voluntary pressure, and voluntary pressure stops working in the moment it becomes inconvenient. The business model itself is structurally misaligned. You make money when people buy. You lose money when people stay and actually use the thing. Every active student is a cost center. Every question asked, every module watched, every piece of bandwidth consumed, that's cost. Your incentive is to acquire more students. Their incentive is to extract maximum value. These incentives are opposed. So you end up with aggressive front-end marketing to get people in, minimum back-end support to keep costs down, and constant need for new students to cover the operational costs of managing the old students. It's a treadmill, and it speeds up the longer you run on it. Iman's problem, same as everyone else's. He built a machine that requires constant new student acquisition to fund the operational burden of existing students. The content quality is extremely high. The marketing is excellent, but the model itself is unsustainable at the scale he's operating at, and he knows it. That's why he's diversifying into agency services, software tools, investment vehicles. He's hedging against the limitations of trying to scale a structurally misaligned business model. The course isn't the business. It's a lead magnet for the business that actually works. So what do you do about this? You can't fix structurally misalignment with better tactics. Better onboarding sequences won't solve it. Community features won't solve it. Accountability mechanisms won't solve it. Solving it requires redesigning incentives across your entire system, your payment structure, your content delivery, your filtering mechanisms, how you acquire students, how you define success, what you're actually selling. That's not something I can compress into a video. At minimum, you know why your completion rates aren't a personal failure. They're a predictable output of a system designed to produce exactly that outcome. You can keep optimizing the symptoms, or you can acknowledge that the model itself needs to be rebuilt from first principles. Most people will keep optimizing because Rebuilding requires admitting that the thing you spent years building is structurally misaligned. And that's uncomfortable. But at least now you can't unsee it.